All right, so for the EViews itself, these are the few key customer that using EViews around the world. So these are few of them, and then you can see from brief, various of region, you can see different section, different department using EViews in those countries. All right, so that's all for my background, and then let's us proceed with the introduction of EViews, which is I want to recap back again what is EViews. Maybe some of you did not really know what EViews is. So let me explain to you in a quick and simple way what is EViews itself. So EViews actually starting from 1981, and then in 2010 it was bought over IHS market. And I believe that I could say almost every 2 or 3 years EViews will update their version, and each time they update their version they will provide some new features that will enhance their old features to a better way. So right now, in 2020, we will get the new latest one, which is EViews 12. So our objective today is to demonstrate to you guys what's the new features in the eViews 12. All right, so basically eViews for me are a good software and easy to use software for someone that involved working with time series, cross-sectional, panel or longitudinal data. So eViews itself can do estimation modeling and then testing and diagnostic, which is like statistic analytic. So using eViews itself, you can actually manage your data, organize your data better, and then you can also perform econometric and statistic analysis. So as you know, eViews are good tools to do forecasting because I think using eViews, you can just simply click the button and it will produce to you a better output for forecast. So it is a easiest software to be used to do forecasting for me itself. Other than that, using eViews also can produce high quality graph. Like for example, over here, some screenshot that I put over there, you can see some of it. All right, so moving on for the interface itself, when you open eViews, it's kind of, for me, it's adaptation of Microsoft Office Outlook, which is, for example, over here, I could relate with the Excel itself because when you're using eViews, they adapt the concept of Excel in which for each sheet, you can put in different kind of data, which is like in one data you have few variable, so you can separate it with a different sheet. So the interface is quite the same with Microsoft Office itself. And what I like about eViews is, as I told you before, when you want to do some graphing, when you want to do some um, model simulation or statistic hypothesis or something like that, you can just simply click on the button itself. It doesn't need to be scripting, or it doesn't need to be, you doesn't need to have a higher knowledge on scripting or anything. You just can simply click the button to do all the features. So that's a good thing about eViews. And then in the eViews also, you integrate with Windows, which is if you want to integrate your data into the eViews itself, you can simply just drag and drop your data into the software. So it can automatically read your data by simply just drag and drop. You can also do copy and paste, and then you can also do some like changing like the row to the column and something like that. And then in eViews also, one thing that I think these eViews are good because eViews can do multiple window display, which is this is a good features in the eViews when you want to compare your output, which is like, for example, over here in the screenshot over here, you can see plotting with the analysis. So you can see the plotting and then compare it with the R square, or maybe you want to do some hypothesis testing and you want to come out with uh, some some hypothesis like that. So it's a good thing to have multiple window display. So other than that, you can do like equation estimation, hypothesis testing, and side-by-side comparison of series plot. All right. Then in EViews itself, you already know that EViews can import over 20 popular data, and so far, most people are working with EViews will use Excel, but you can also do another type of data format, which is these are the list of data that you can put into the EViews. And then the good thing about EViews itself also, when you put in your data, for example, you have daily data, you can convert the data into monthly, yearly, quarterly, and so on. And then to read your data also, you can choose either to put like average for each month, you can change it to sum, you can do for the first observation, and so on. Okay, so next, these are the list tools that come in the EViews. So I could separate the tools into two sections, which is estimation and testing diagnostic. So for the estimation itself, you can use different kind of model, which is the list over here are the estimation model, and the upper part over here are the testing and the diagnostic thing that you can do in the EViews. All right, so next, over here, I put some screenshot of chart that EViews can produce. As you can see over here, EViews can provide a good graphing. And one thing I like about EViews is you can change the way you want to present your graphing, which is, for example, the line chart over here, you can put like two line in just one chart, or either you want to separate it to see the difference. So that's one thing I like about, that's also good thing in the EViews itself. All right. So next, in the EViews also, if you are new or if you are beginner, still figuring out how to use EViews, in EViews also it come with Common Explorer, which is in that you can click the help button, which is in the help button, you can get some PDF file, which they explain to you the module by chapter from basic basic step into the advanced step that you can do in the EViews. So if you want to try to figure out anything you like to try on, you can just simply click the help button and download the PDF itself to see the step by step how you can do forecasting, how you can do graphing. So I think this is really helpful for beginner. Then in the EViews itself also, you can, for example, like you are already advanced in EViews and then you have some problem or some error when you're doing your analytic or analysis. So whenever you have issues on anything, you can always go straight to the community itself and ask them whatever issue you be facing. Maybe in the website, maybe there's another person already put in your problem and there will be person that already answer that issue. So you can just quickly get your answer from the community itself. All right, so in EViews also it's come with the uh, command line and the programming, which is it provide the GUI platform. All right, so for the EViews also, um, okay, so for the EViews overall, the basic EViews, that's overall that I could say. So previously on EViews 11, there are already some improvement in 4 sections, which is econometric and statistic, graph, table and spool, interactive, and then data handling. So the first one in the EViews 11, we could see that in the data handling, it come out with a new features which is the integration with Python. This is on the EViews 11. So you can see over here, you can come out with scripting when you do some analysis in the EViews and you will integrate with the Python itself. Then in the EViews 11 also come with the graph and table, which is they introduce to you the geographical map, which is if you have a shape file format, you can put in that file into mapping in the EViews itself. Then in the EViews 11, they introduce to you the fan chart, which is you can see the screenshot over here, what it is, the meaning of the fan chart. Then for the econometric statistic, they improve the estimation model, which is they introduce the Bayesian VAR and then some other VAR type. And then they also introduce the seasonal root test in the EViews 11. For the interactive of the EViews 11, when you hover your mouse on the Command Explorer, it come out some like tab over here to select out any kind of command language to put into the white box over here. So it doesn't need to be memorize all of the language to put in over the command. You can just simply hover your mouse over here. So that's for the eViews 11. So right now we are moving forward to the latest version of eViews, which is eViews 12. So same section, but um, same section, which is also in, I categorize it into 4 sections, which is econometric, statistic, graph, and then interactive and data handling. Okay. So for the econometric and statistic, we will get update on the new data handling, which is in when you want to open up a new data source or you want to find into the database itself, they provide a new features, a new database, which is dbnomic. So you can get more data using the dbnomic itself. Then the most interesting part in the eViews 12 itself is in the new graph and the table, which is they introduce to you the animated graph for both basic graph and then for the geographical map, which is in the animated graph, you can see the plotting will be moving accordingly uh, into the time series. So I think it's kind of like highlight of the eViews 12, the new feature. And then in the geomap itself, the plotting color and the gradient color in the geomap, when you click the animated, it will change according to what kind of analysis you put in. They also come in with the smart shading, which is in the smart shading, you can simply plot your line, which is, for example, you want to see the line, the highest value, the highest amount of people who are unemployment during COVID-19. So you can plot the shade over the line chart. All right, so for the new econometric and statistic, which is the estimation, they introduce to you the few new model estimation, which is one of which that I would like to highlight over here is the Warsaw and then the saturation, which is the saturation actually a regression tool for testing for existence of outlier. So other than that, these are few others new features in the estimation model. All right, next in the new econometry and statistic for testing and diagnostic, they introduce to you a few new features, and one of which I like to highlight is the factor selection method, which is it is used to determine the number of factor retained to pre-simple component. So I think it's a good thing when you want to investigate the factor itself. All right, so for the interface, in eViews 12 is come with the new features, which is you can save your file as a new format, because before this, I believe from the original eViews software until eViews 11, they only provide .wf1 as their format. But now with the new eViews 12, you can save your file format into .wf2, which is based upon the JSON standard. So I think it's quite neat tool for eViews 12. Other than that, you can also save your print output into the Markdown language support, which is you can open your Markdown language support using Notepad or Notepad++, which is you can see the screenshot over here for the So next, I will go straight to the demonstration for the new features of the eViews 12. So for the for this demo session, I will go for the overview of all of the features. So for the next upcoming webinar, we will go through one by one section in depth for each topic. So if you are interested, please contact us to do more further on the each topic. So without wasting any time, let's go straight to the demo session. Before that, if you have any question regarding to my demo session today, please type in your question in the chat box. Then I try to answer at the end of the session. All right, so I hope I'm not going too fast. Okay, so if you guys are okay, so we are going to the new features of the EViews 12. So for my demo session for today, I will separate my demo into 4 sections, which is the first part, I will show to you the demonstration for the new data handling, which is how you can get the database for the DBnomic database API support. And then for the next section, I will go for the graph and table, which is, I think this is the highlight of EViews 12, which is how can you animate your chart, your bar chart, your line chart, and then your geographical maps itself. Okay, then I will show to you how you can shape your graph in the EViews itself. Then the third session, I will go for the econometric and statistic, which is the estimation model, which is before this, if you can see over here, there are few type of new estimation model that they been introduced. But right now for the overview, I will highlight on the Warsaw model using lasso method, and then how can you use saturation tool for testing for existent outlier. All right. Then I will go for the testing and diagnostic in the econometric and statistic, which is for the testing and diagnostic. There's a few new features, but as for today, I will show demo on the factor selection method. And then the last section is I will show to you the new interactive features in the EViews 12, which is the how to save your file as a new file format, which is .wf2, and then how to print out your output into markdown language or .md format. All right, so I hope you guys are ready for EViews 12. So I will open the EViews first. Wait a second. All right. So this is the new interface of EViews 12. So the most obvious thing that you can see change from EViews 11 is obviously is the color itself lah. I think this one is more like pastel color. So the first session I like to demonstrate to you is the new data handling, which is how you can integrate the DBnomics into the EViews 12. So to do that, you click File, and then you click Open, and then you click Database. So over here, previously on the database slash file, you cannot see the DBnomics. So right now in EViews 12, they come out with the DBnomics for the database. So you just click the DBnomics and then click OK. And then it will pop out this new windows. Then to browse your data, to find some data, you just click browse over here. And then it will pop up another windows. So over here, there are 3 section, which is search, select provider, and enter series. So right now, the easiest way, if you want to put some keyword, for example, right now, you want to see some data about COVID. So you type in COVID and then you click enter. All right, so it will list out all things that related to COVID-19. For example, over here COVID-19 adjusted monthly unemployment estimate by age group, sex, level, and lower upper bound months and statistic. So to put in those data, you just select any provider and then click next, and then it will integrate the data. So it will take some time. Okay, and then you just click export to Word file. Okay, and then you will get the data itself lah. All right, so you can discover more on the database by clicking different keyword. For example, you want to search anything further on the keyword itself, you can go back and then try to play around with another kind of data like GDP, something like that. Over here, you try GDP and then you search again. It will filter out for the GDP data. So that's for the new data handling. All right. So next, I will go to the second section, which is the highlighted session for EViews 12, which is the graph and table. I will demonstrate it to you how to do animated chart and how to shade your chart using COVID-19 data in Malaysia. So first, you put in your data. You can just simply use this button, file open foreign data, or you can just go to the folder that you store your data, and then you can drag and drop your data. When you drag and drop your data, everything, if you want to change you want to manipulate your data, you can simply go through from step 1 until step 4. So right now, I don't want to go step by step. I just click finish, and it will put in my data in the EViews. So over here, you can see a few variable in my data set, which is COVID-19. So right now, I want to investigate the new cases. I want to see the line chart for the new cases of COVID-19. So I double click this. And then to do the graph, I think all of you know, to do the graph, you just simply click view, graph, and then choose line and symbol. And then you will get the line graph. So before this, in EViews 11, you don't have this animate button. But right now in EViews 12, you can just simply click animated and it will animate it for you for the line chart itself. So when you click the animated button over here, it will come up with the animation setting, which is in the setting itself, it will provide to you 4 type of different present, which is how you want your animation to move around. So for example, over here, I try the one which is expanding interval. So if you click play over here, it will plot your line one by one until the end of your data set. So if you want to change any movement or you want to speed up your movement, you can click the show detail over here, and you can play around from, like, for example, you want to change the date itself, you can go change the start and end date. And then you can change the rates of the FPS by, for example, like 7, 9, something like that. Then you click apply and then you play back again and it will go faster. All right, so next is moving window. So I will show you the difference for each of the present. For the moving window, when you click play, it will play out one by one. So this one is quite fast, so you need to change it, the refresh rate, for example, like 2. Click apply, play it again. So right now you can see the difference for each of the section of year lah. You can see over here what year and what months. All right. Next, in the animation also, you can do the expanding interval, which is when you click play, it will plot one by one in each section for each year. It will play around all of your data set. Okay. So over here also you can change the initial observation range, which is you can play around the value over here, and then you can change the exit setting, which is from 7, maybe you want to change it to 5, 10, or any numbers. All right. So other than that, you can also custom um, your animation, which is you can play around this chart over here, the interval. You can click and then you can play one by one session like this, or you move the interval smaller and then it will play out like a worm, some worm moving like that. All right, so that's for animation. Okay, close. All right. So next, in the EViews 12, you can actually right click on your chart, and then you can save your chart into GIF format, which is when you do some animation, your animation will moving around in .gif format picture that you save. So that when you save the output, if you want to do some presentation in the maybe PowerPoint or something like that, you can take the GIF format into the PowerPoint, and then it will play automatic in those in the PowerPoint itself. So it doesn't need to open EViews to do the animation. You can save it as a .gif. Okay, next I will show to you how to shade by sample, which is smart shading on the bar chart. So for example, over here, I changed the graph into bar. All right, so for here, you cannot see clearly for the bar, so you move the interval. All right, so to do the smart shading, you can right click on your mouse and then choose add lines and shading. So to do the line and shading, you must freeze the graph first. So you freeze the graph and then you save it, graph over here. And then you right click and then add line and shade. So for over here, shade over here, if I want to shade as red, for if new underscore cases more than 200, you click OK. Then it will highlight the background, which one is more than 200. So I think it's a quite good, neat features to highlight some of important part in the graph itself. All right, other than that, in the shading part also, you can put in some line, right? For example, over here, I like to put line, red line for the vertical if new underscore cases more than 200. So it's for the line, I believe you cannot use if statement because it will go through for the date itself. So if you want to do line, you need to put some dates over here. All right. So other than that, in the add line and shading also, you can change the line pattern if you want to put like breaking up pattern, or you want to put like more thick line in the background of the bar chart, you can select over here. For example, I put like something. So it will put line over here because the dates are starting from here. So it line over there. So you can play around just by clicking right click, add line and shading. So that's why I told you the EViews is user friendly and easy to understand how to do the plotting and do the features, the new features. All right, next I will show you how to do the geomaps and how to animate your geomap. So for the geomap, I will use a new data, which is, wait a second, I put in new data over here. Because for the geographical map, you need to have a shape file. So let me share this screen for you to see. Okay, so this is for the geographical map. So to do geographical map, first of all, put in your data and then click object, click new object, and then in the new object, select geographical map and then click OK. If you want to name your object, any name you want to put in, you can rename it here. And then click OK. And then the next step is you need to drop your shapefile file format in the geomap. So for here, I will be using shapefile. Okay. So next over here, you need to find the attribute in the shapefile, which is for my data. I will be using name 10 and I will be using country. So you need to make sure that the attribute and the series are same, which is the name of the country is same. And then next, you will click colors to put in some color background in the back of the chart, the map chart. So you click single range, and then in the series, put in what underscore. Okay. And then over here for the lower range, I will change to 0. Here, maybe like 5, 6. Okay. And then for the solid fill, you can use gradient fill to differentiate the population itself in the map. So in the gradient color, you can change over here like this color with this color. And then you click OK. Right. So you change the label over here because before this, you can see the labels are 06, 0 kind of number. So if you want to change the label over here into name of the region itself, you can click on the label and change it into name. Then it will name it accordingly. So the gradient will follow with the interval that you put in. For example, before I put lower 0 and then the upper range is 56,000, 560,000. So it will change the gradient color according to the range itself. So in this population also, you can change it into, for example, like you want to do population only for female. You can click enter. It will change according to the data for the population for female. So to do animation in the chart, in the map chart, you can click animate also. Then you can play. You can click play and it will change according to your data. So for example, over here, you can see the different changing according to years. So it starts from 1970 until 2050. So you can see the different range of color changing when you're moving forward into 2050. So same with the basic chart that I showed you before. If you want to change the speed rate, you can change it into the refresh rate. But the difference is you cannot change the type of animation over here lah, because the map chart only change the color gradient itself. So you can click apply, then you can close. And then same as the bar chart before, you can also save it as a GIF format, which is you can use the GIF format picture into your presentation in the PowerPoint. So that's the highlight for the geographical maps and for the new graph and table, which is the animated chart, and then the shape by sample, and then the animated for the geographical map. All right, so for the third section, I will explain to you the new features in the estimation model, which is I will try to do the demonstration on Varsel model using lasso method, and then I will show to you how to do saturation tools. So to do that, I will use crime data set. So let me open my data first. All right. So these are my data set for me to demonstrate to you for Varsel and saturation. So to do the Varsel estimation method, you can click on quick and then click estimate equation, and then over here you can see the method over here. When you click, it will drill down all kind of method that you can select. So the latest version of the method over here are the Varsel. So over here you can click Varsel, and then in the Varsel also it come out with different kind of method, which is they have like unidirectional, stepwise, swapwise, combinational, and outer search slash gets, and also lasso. Right now I would like to demonstrate for you for lasso. So for the lasso, you click lasso, and then for the dependent variable, you put in your dependent variable. For example, over here I use violent crime as my dependent variable. And for my list of search regressor or independent variable, I put in any other variable. For example, like mother and robbery. All right. So when you put in your variable, click option over here and select regression transformation as standard deviation for population. And then you click OK. So
मेरे घर
over
वाले
here
इतनी मौज कर रहे फोन ही नहीं उठा रहे यार,
so
बताओ
you will get the
मोहित को क्या कहा दिया,
equation
मम्मी
for
को
the
क्या, कान नहीं उठाया, पापा
for
को
the
क्या।
method
तेरे क्यों बार बार फोन कर
for
रहे हो, मैं
the
यार बड़े बेच रहा हूँ घर वाले हो गए यार।
excuse me, can you mute your mic?
यार अपना काम करना, तेरा मन नहीं लग रहा क्या? मन नहीं।
Sorry. Okay, sorry. When you click on the quit button and you go to the model estimation, these are the Varsel model when you use lasso. So these are the new features in the estimation itself. All right, then I will show to you how you can check for testing for existing of outlier, which is using saturation method. So to do that, I close this first. Okay, so I will be using the same data, which is the crime data. So to do that, click estimate equation and put in some equation, for example, like uh, for example, over here, I use violent crime with develop. Maybe mother. Okay. All right. So when you put in your equation, then you click option over here, then choose outlier indicator saturation, which is in the EViews 11, you don't have this feature. So in the EViews 12, you can click on for the auto detection. So to see different between between not clicking this outlier and then click. So I will show you the difference. For example, for right now, I don't click the auto detection. I click OK. For example, oh, sorry, this is supposed to be C. constant. Okay. Dilog. All right. So these are for the normal equation. But when you try to do for new one, which is detect the outlier, so just put in again the equation. Well, before this, I put violent. Before this, my error because I put space between the D-log. So you cannot put a space between the D-log. Otherwise, it cannot be compute. C and then D-log. For example, like matter as well. All right. So in the option, you click auto detection and then click OK. And then you will see the residual itself over here. When you move when you hover your mouse, you can also detect each of the plotting, the real value of the plotting. So that's for the saturation, for the saturation part for using crime. So in the estimation as well, you can see we also get a new feature, which is gush. In the gush as well, we get new features in which fee gush. So if you want to play around, you can just simply click quick and then click on the equation estimation. You can just play around the Varsel to see the difference for the new features of the EViews 12. So this is for the overall on the estimation itself. All right. So next we are moving forward to the testing and diagnostic, which is in the testing and diagnostic, there are a few new features in the EViews. But for today's session, I like to highlight on the factor selection method. So to do factor selection method, I will use stock data. So let me open my data first. All right. So for the stock, for the factor selection method, so for the factor selection method is actually to determine the number of factor retained to principal component. So in order to see the feature, where you can get the feature is you select any three variables. For example, over here, I randomly select, for example, this three, and then you click open as. Oh, sorry, I need to share first this screen. Sorry. All right. So this is my new data for the factor selection method. So to do factor selection method, you just simply select your data, your variable, I mean. So for example, this three variable, you right click and then you open as a factor. So in order to do the factor selection method, you must make sure that your method is by an method. So this method only can be used for the factor selection. So over here, you can select for the max factor over here, you can select user and then you can click OK. Okay, so this is the factor. Then to go for the factor selection method, you click view and then you can see there's a new tab over here, which is factor selection summary. So when you click over here, it will come out the factor selection method for factor that you select before. So that's how you can do the factor selection method in the EViews 12. All right. So finally, at the my last session, which is the interface on how you can save your data into new file format, which is before this in EViews 11 and others EViews, they only provide you to save as a .wf1. But now with EViews 12, you can save your data to your output into .wf2, which is based upon JSON standard. So to do that is simple. You can just click file, save as, and then you can see over here, before this, you cannot find .wf2, but for EViews 12, you can save it as a .wf2. So this is as simple as that to save it as JSON. All right. So next, I will show to you how you can save your output over here into markdown language in the printing section. So for example, I choose our previous estimation. For example, this one. For example, I do back again my estimation. For example, I click quick estimate question. I use the or so, and then choose lasso. I don't save my previous one, so let me put it back again. For example, over here, I put in violent crime. And then this one, I put in like arson, curry, murder, and then robbery. All right, so then you click on the option and then click OK. All right, so over here, as you can see, when you freeze this, so when you want to save it as when you want to print out your output over here, when you click print, you can actually save it as a new data, new redirect, which is you can save it as a markdown file. So in the markdown file, for example, I save as testing 1, 2, 3, that, and then I click OK. And then I try to open back my testing 1, 2, 3 over here. I save it in my document. So when I open my output, let me share you my screen. So this is the new format, which is .md, which is the same as this one, but in the Notepad version. So this is the new features on the EViews itself for the interface. So I think I cover all for the overviews of the new latest updated of the EViews 12. All right. So for the so if you are interested in to go further in each topic, you can come back to us for the upcoming session, which is I will go through one by one session in deeply in more detail to do how to do the new latest econometric statistic. Statistic, and then the graph, and then the interactive of the EViews 12, and then the data handling. So if you are interested on that, you can contact us on our email, and you can also contact by phone and fax over here. So I put in this slide to you so that you can take our email to go through for us for the next session of the EViews 12. So if you have any question regarding to the EViews 12, you can put in the chat box, or you can also email to our tech support over here. So I will get back to you in the email, and I will try to answer all of your question in the email itself. So I guess that's overall for the EViews 12. Anything, you can just contact us on the technical support email. So so if there is no question, I think I end my session today. I will end my session today if there is no question. But if you have anything regarding to the licensing or anything about EViews, you're not sure about anything, you can just simply email us in the tech support email. So thank you so much for giving me your attention, and I hope my presentation today give you some rough idea what is new in the EViews 12. I hope that you can get some basic knowledge on the EViews if you are new in the EViews, and I hope that you are interested to go further into the EViews lah. So thank you so much. If you are interested in any other thing in the EViews, just come back to us in our tech support. So thank you so much for having me today. I think that's all from me. Thank you.